Hey Capricorn, how's it going? Do you like to read? Are you a reader? Got a lot of books like me? If not, maybe you're interested in reading something. Maybe you got a whole reading list you're trying to get to. When I was meditating on your vibe, tuning into your radio station, I just heard books and books and books and books, stacks of books. And then I heard prochitaj, which is Russian for read. It's like the imperative form, like you will read. And it's usually something that a teacher says to a student, like read this, like go on. So I think maybe there's a book or something that you've been putting off reading, or there's something about reading here that you need to get into, something about studying maybe, that now is the time to do it, I guess. And then another thing I got was just the phrase sensate primate. I have no idea what that means. I couldn't figure it out. It just seemed important. It really stuck in my mind. Sensate primate, like a primate that has 5 functioning senses, I guess, which is most primates, I imagine. It seems redundant. If a primate is born with a healthy nervous system, then of course it's sensate. So I don't know what that means. That might be important to you or significant to you in some way. Confirmation for something? I have no idea. I can't connect it to anything really. And then I got a third thing for you. I got an image of a mountain, a nice big, strong, gray stone mountain with like a snow-capped peak. It was a little cartoonish looking, like a drawing of a mountain maybe. It's very realistic though. And then this giant Grim Reaper showed up behind it and with his scythe sliced the mountain perfectly horizontally very quickly. And like nothing really happened. The scythe went through the mountain and out the other side. And then the mountain just kind of, resettled back where it was. And nothing happened to the mountain. So I don't know, maybe there's some energy in your life trying to knock you down, but it's just not going to work. Capricorn is the mountain climber. So like when I saw the mountain, I was like, okay, that feels very Capricorn-y, climbing to the top of the mountain. And there could be something or someone in your life trying to take you down a peg or two, but it's apparently not going to work. It's not going to phase you at all. I'm not sure though. Maybe the imagery is significant to you in another way. I don't know. But then I pulled an I Ching hexagram for you. We got hexagram 16, delight, with a changing line, the 4th line, which changes to responding. So here we have thunder over earth. Those are the 2 elements of this hexagram here. But delight, it's delight. It's peace, it's happiness, it's also enthusiasm. Enthusiasm to move forward and do something. It's a nice auspicious sign. Well, it's not super auspicious because it's also a warning against overindulging in delight, because oftentimes delight is really like a shadow that can obscure our vision. It can distract us from our goals and ambitions. It can cloud our judgment if we're indulging too much in delight. So don't be overindulgent in this delight or over-enthusiastic with what it is you're doing, but, as long as you're sharing the delight with others and you're not just delighting alone in yourself, well, of course there are situations where that's totally healthy and appropriate, but this idea that delight is to be shared is it's like an insurance against overindulgence or self-indulgence or self-satisfaction and complacency. If we delight alone or delight in ourselves or just with ourselves too much, this self-satisfaction can derail our goals. It can suck away our ambition. It can eliminate our work ethic, and it can stagnate us. So this is a good time for you to gather a team of trusted friends with you, around you. In the I Ching it says, gather friends like a hair clasp holds together hair. It's a good time to appoint roles if you're working in a group or have a group project going. you're in a position to appoint roles to get this group going and productive. And this changing line here is actually the host of this hexagram. It's like the strongest, best line. And it means like you're delighting in your position in life. You've got a good spot. You've got like a good thing going on. You've earned the trust of a superior, maybe your boss at work, maybe the head of your household, maybe a teacher or something like that. There's some boss or superior or something, whatever that means. Maybe your higher self. You've earned your own trust in your spiritual practices with your higher self, something like that. But you've gained the trust of a superior. And because of this, there's a lot of delight occurring in your life. You're delighted about this, and those around you are delighted about this. And, like you're going to come into a great accumulation of something. This could be an accumulation of wealth, maybe a pay raise at work, or an award or an accolade, a recognition for something. Greater responsibility, a great accumulation of responsibility. You might be given more to do in a good way. More things to do, more ability to do more things, more power to do more things. It could be an accumulation of spiritual energy or spiritual power or upliftment. And you're delighting in that, or you're going to be rewarded with that because of the way you delight and bring delight to others around you. So maybe you're just a delightful person and people just love being around you. And because of this, your soul is being uplifted. And, basically you're walking into an abundance of something, an abundance of some energy, and it's tied to you feeling delightful and sharing this feeling of delight, but not being overindulgent with it, like having the appropriate healthy amount of delight when it's good, when it's good and healthy. I suddenly got like the thought of, a young mother or a mother with young children who set up play dates and is maybe like dealing with a bunch of children from a bunch of different households, and they're all together playing, and this person has to, you have to organize the day for these kids and have delightful activities, maybe some educational activities, and feed them and, protect them and all this stuff. And it's all these activities for kids, even like the more organized, important things like feeding time and, maybe hygienic stuff and things like that. It's all imbued with a delightful sense. Like it's all made delightful because of your attitude. You just have a very good attitude, and it's like your good attitude is the key for a well-functioning project, whatever it is you're working on. Even if you're not working with other people, if you're working on something alone, your positive attitude, your delightful nature is absolutely essential to keep it going. But to keep it going, don't become complacent in delight and just sit around and be delighted. Like, use that enthusiasm to do something productive and creative. And especially this is doubly so if you are in the musical sphere, or something to do with audio, or something to do with speaking. Maybe you speak for your job or for your hobby or something. Maybe you've got like a YouTube channel, maybe you're a musician. But this idea of thunder above the earth is like thunder resonates the earth and brings nourishment to the earth. That vibration nourishes the earth. And so there's something with your voice, or something with your musical skills, or something with audio that you're skilled with. And like, now's the time to do something creative and enthusiastic with it, something delightful, something interesting and fun with that you can share with those around you and bring delight to those people, bring nourishment, mental nourishment, emotional nourishment, spiritual nourishment, or what have you. You're being asked basically to just spread your good vibe, That's kind of what this is about. Trying to connect it to what I got in the meditation, like being in a state of delight, a good attitude, it does make you harder to knock down, like that Grim Reaper that cut the mountain and didn't really do anything. Like, people who try to tear you down at this time will just see that you're like unfazed. Everything that they throw at you is just like water off a duck's back, right? It just rolls off you and you're like, whatever. It's not gonna affect me. Reading, maybe you're a teacher. Like here we have, right, the imperative form of read, prochite. Maybe you gotta read to somebody. Maybe you've got a book to write and you need your editors to read it or something like that. Or maybe you have to read, maybe you're an editor or a proofreader, and like, stop putting it off, like just get down to it. It'll be a lot more fun than you think it is. Maybe you think there's a grueling task of reading or getting something or writing something, and you think it's gonna be like, you just keep putting it off because you think it's gonna be boring or difficult, but it's not. It's gonna be delightful once you start going. You'll find the enthusiasm once you start going. That's something that I experience when I have creator's block. I'm a musician, and like if I just can't, I'm not in the mood, I don't want to do it, oh my god, this is just not the day for writing music. I force myself to do it, even when I don't want to. And eventually I kind of just find the enthusiasm. And then I get going, and I do it. And I continue writing the song or whatever it is that I was working on. And I find that enthusiasm can be discovered after we begin the work, if we're disciplined enough to start the work anyway, even when we don't want to. That can be a challenge. Like, I'm not feeling it. But you gotta find that discipline and be like, all right, I'll just do it anyway. Even if what I make is bad and I'm not into it, who cares? But you build up these habits. And yeah, a lot of the time what you create won't be that good because you weren't that enthusiastic. And maybe the whole hour or a few hours will go by and you really just weren't enthusiastic. You didn't find your enthusiasm. But you know what, you'll do it again tomorrow. You'll be disciplined. You'll make sure you do it. Maybe it's another bad day. But every day you do it and you force yourself to do it and you become disciplined, and it becomes habit to do it anyway, to focus on your creative hobby, even when you don't want to. And as it becomes a habit, the enthusiasm is much, much easier to cultivate because you subconsciously program yourself like, I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to have to enjoy it one of these times. And you will. And you find that you start to enjoy it more and more and more the more disciplined you are with it. And so it becomes automatic. Like, okay, I'm gonna pick up my guitar at 5 p.m. every day. Or I'm gonna sit in front of my computer and open up my creative software at this time every day, even if I don't want to. Even if you just open it up for 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 30 seconds, fart around in your creative software and then close it. Even if it's just 5 or 10 seconds of doing it, just make it a habit to open up the software and look at it. And you're programming your subconscious to be like, I'm doing this and I will find enthusiasm for it. And it works. It really does. So let's pull some cards for you and develop this reading further. We're gonna focus on an aspect of reality. I got 24 little aspects of reality that we're gonna focus on. Well, we're gonna focus on one of them. Whatever the Oracle wants us to think about. So what does Capricorn need to know, Oracle? What does Capricorn need to think about? It's not pointing at anything, it's pointing at me. Second try, let's go. What does Capricorn need to think about? Maybe you need to think about yourself. Okay, here we go. Is that clear? Okay, we are looking at the Queen, or the Divine Feminine, let's say. Well, it's the Queen. The Queen. It's a very high aspect on my table here that I carved. I associate it with Binah, or the third sphere on the Tree of Life, if you study Kabbalah. The third sphere of understanding, the receptive world, characterized by the element of water, the womb of reality, if you will, that divine feminine, right? And everything the divine feminine represents. It's interesting, I thought about that mother babysitting all those kids and having something ready for all those kids. It's very appropriate. This is that Tarot Empress energy, if you're into tarot. Which you probably are, at least a little bit if you're watching this. But I'm going to pull a tarot card for you. What does Capricorn need to know about the Queen? Does it associate with delight? Sensate primate? Books and books, reading. A mountain. The Queen. All these associations. If anything's ringing any bells in your head, take note. What does Capricorn need to know? The Seven of the Cups. Illusory success. Interesting. Interesting. So yeah, these this tarot deck comes with some of the cards have these little quotes here. Focus. This one says illusory success, right? The Seven of Cups is a very illusory card. It's a Venus and Scorpio card. Well, Venus is definitely a divine feminine energy. Perhaps you are overindulging or being a bit self-indulgent or indulging in your delights a little too much, you know. I was just reminded of that painting, The Garden of Earthly Delights by Bosch? Oh boy, I can't remember the painter. Well, anyway, it's easy to find, very famous. The Garden of Earthly Delights. It's like when people get lost in the earthly aspects of life and lose sight of more important things, and they just indulge in all of the, I want to say, orgiastic debaucheries that this world offers. And we have to be careful. You know, Socrates said, life is a banquet. So don't go thirsty, but don't get drunk either. So maybe you're being a little distracted here and you don't know where to put your energies. I'm going to pull another card from another deck and see if we can clarify here. How's that associated with the Queen? That's illusory success. Maybe the superior that you've gained the trust of is not, well, I don't know. On the I Ching, it says don't be suspicious. This changing line, that was something I forgot to mention. It's like you've gained the trust of a superior. Don't be suspicious. But then here you have the Seven of Cups with the Queen. Maybe someone's suspicious of you. Maybe the superior trusts you, but there's just like a little something that they're confused about you. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe they don't truly understand your success in this regard. Maybe you don't understand your own success. Maybe you just don't see it coming. Maybe you haven't like gotten the reward for your hard work and your delightful attitude yet, and you just don't expect it. But it's like right around the corner. And then you'll have your direction. Pride. Superbia. We have a vase here, and it looks like one of those decorated copper plates from the Roman era. Pride. Yeah. You definitely need to watch that you don't become self-satisfied with your delightful attitude, or that you become self-satisfied with this abundance that you've accumulated, or this power, excuse me, this power that you've accumulated. Because you may have been given some queenly responsibilities and a great deal of power, perhaps in the workplace, perhaps in your family life, perhaps in your social life, or even just in your spiritual life. You've realized a great deal about yourself and have unlocked a higher degree of spiritual awareness and knowledge and essentially enlightenment, healing power, or something of that sort. And when we do this, we have to guard against pride. When we walk the spiritual path, the path of climbing the tree of life, the path of spiritual ascension, it's easy to have pride. We can even have illusory success in our spiritual practices because many spiritual practices are not very authentic, they are kind of forms of self-hypnotism. And we can make ourselves feel like we've gained spiritual power when in fact we haven't, and we can delight in this spiritual power that we believe we've had, that we've attained, and we can be proud of it, but it might not be real. It could be a form of self-hypnosis, and we've dulled our mind into thinking we're enlightened. We've maybe dulled some part of ourselves and mistook that dulling of ourselves as conquering ourselves. Because sometimes if we want to control our emotions, for example, something we could do is find ways of dulling our emotions. And there are mantras you can chant and certain things you can do that will dull your emotions, and it will make you think you've conquered them or overcome them, but really all you've done is hide them, bury them under layers of self-hypnosis. We can do the same thing with our minds. Say we're trying to achieve meditative states and we have like a monkey mind, sensate primate, that monkey mind that's going crazy and we can't stop thinking about stuff, and meditation states are very difficult. We can start chanting mantras or something like that to focus our mind. And there are times when we can become dependent upon those mantras and we think, okay, I'm just thinking about the mantra, so I'm controlling my monkey mind. But you have to think about the mantra. If you stop thinking about the mantra and stop repeating the mantra in your head, your monkey mind thoughts come back, and you actually realize that you haven't had any progress in controlling your thoughts because you're using the mantra as a distraction for your thoughts, which is fine at first, because when we are beginners at meditation, those mantras can really help, and it distracts our thoughts and we become accustomed to having fewer thoughts. And that distraction with the mantra is a very useful first step. But then we have to go further. We have to graduate. We can't become complacent in the mantra chanting. We have to actually achieve the state without the mantra, without thoughts. And if we become complacent in the mantra chanting aspects, this can stunt our spiritual growth, because then we just become one of those guys who just sings in drum circles all the time and never does any other spiritual discipline, which is fine. You don't necessarily have to ascend the tree of life. You can just go as far as you want, and chanting mantras for the rest of your life is great. I still do it every day. It's very, very important spiritual practice. But in my opinion, like, you are Capricorn, you climb the mountain. You don't stop halfway. You don't get to like the first base camp and, oh, that's fine with me. No, you're a Capricorn. If you set your mind to something, you're going to achieve the highest summit of that mountain. And so if you want to ascend the spiritual path, you will need to adopt more advanced spiritual disciplines and not become complacent with this small amount of success you've had. You need to keep going and not be self-satisfied with it. And you need to realize that, like, maybe you're not totally enlightened, and maybe pride has clouded you a bit. I know this is kind of harsh, but sometimes you just need the truth. I'm gonna pull one last token for you, bring this whole thing together. What does Capricorn need to know? 7 of Cups, pride, the Queen. Proud Queen. We always have to guard against pride, right? We all do. Alright, what does Capricorn need to know? The Earth, number 3. The number 3 might be significant. Actually, that's the sphere that I was talking about on the Tree of Life, sphere number 3. Binah, or understanding, the womb of reality, right? But this represents also the 10th sphere, the sphere of the earth, the sphere of Malkuth, or the sphere of Asaya, the material world. Now this is definitely some queenly energy, right? We have Bhumi, the Hindu goddess of, the spirit of the earth, that divine feminine that receives spiritual nature, gestates it, and creates material phenomena with it. And Capricorn is an earth sign, and earth signs are generally receptive, and then receiving something does something with it, creates something new with it. So again, thunder above earth, you know, that elemental symbol of the hexagram I pulled for you is like the earth receives the vibrations of the thunder and is nourished by it. So as long as you are truly receiving good spiritual counsel, the queen, that's like the mother of reality, right? In the Tao Te Ching, the sage knows when to take nourishment from the mother. That's a quote from the Tao Te Ching. So know when to nourish yourself with just raw spiritual energy, or when to listen to a trustworthy teacher. You've gained the trust of a superior, perhaps a teacher, and you need to trust that teacher as well and receive what it is that they have to teach you. And it might hurt your pride a little bit. It might disabuse you of some of your illusions, but it's necessary at this time for you to, you know, manifest something in the physical world, for you to achieve your goals. You know, the earth, that is like the goal of all spiritual impulses, is to create something on the earth, some physical phenomenon. And for your success to be real and not illusory, for this Seven of Cups to vanish and become a tangible, actual goal, you need to maintain a positive, delightful attitude, but not overindulge in it. And you need to truly receive good, adequate spiritual knowledge and not self-hypnotic stuff, and to know the difference. And no one can tell you the difference. That's something you have to figure out for yourself. But people can help you to recognize the difference. That's what teachers are for, especially older, experienced teachers. They can point the way to the truth. You know, they can't really describe the truth. It's not really possible, but they can give us road signs and directions and point the way toward the truth. They can point out some potholes in the road, some mistakes to avoid, and things like that. And I think you're just being asked to take a teacher very seriously right now. Read the book, right? And take it seriously. But some reward is right around the corner as you get through all of this. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just do the work. Do what's necessary. And don't let your goals get tossed by the wayside because you lost focus. Capricorn, you know what it's like when you lose focus. You're meant to climb the mountain. Don't lose focus. All right, Capricorn, I think that's all the oracle and I have for you today. It was great hanging out with you. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it as always. And I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.